Earth is in a state of chaos. Fires rage across the planet, forests are quickly destroyed, and oxygen levels drop dangerously low for all living things. From time to time, flames completely cover the Earth. Nations lose everything, falling into darkness and despair. In Australia, two men, Ethan White and Jude Mathers, work at a mechanical corporation handling a dangerous nuclear core overload. At first, the utility tunnel system fails, causing an emergency lockdown. After several tries, they manage to stabilize the system enough to continue their work. Later, the company conducts tests for a disease known as the sickness. During this, an older worker tells his boss he can't cover his shift. Without hesitation, Ethan offers to take it, attracted by the extra pay. After leaving the facility, the city outside is packed with people. Everyone wears masks to protect themselves from the sickness. Tensions run high. An older man suddenly stops Ethan, asking if he wants his job back. Jude intervenes to stop the confrontation. At that moment, another person, caught in an argument nearby, sets himself on fire in front of them. Meanwhile, while Ethan is at home, he hears a news report about the man who had recently taken his own life. Uninterested, he switches off the television. As he works on fixing a protective mask, his wife, Xantha, walks up behind him and interrupts. He gently tells her to close her eyes, then proudly shows her the mask he made for her. But she isn't pleased. She reminds him that she doesn't need it. He explains that he has his own mask and reassures her that it's okay to wear one. Eventually, he convinces her. Xantha puts on the mask, paints it with color, and begins to playfully interact with Ethan. But suddenly, she vomits blood, a terrifying sign of the sickness. She quickly washes the mask, but both of them are thrown into panic. Afterward, Ethan is deeply focused on his work when a security guard approaches and informs him that they've been ordered to take him in. Before the guards can act, Jude steps in and stops them, telling them there's no need to lay a hand on Ethan. However, he agrees that Ethan should go with them and allows it to happen peacefully. Ethan and Jude follow the security guards to Crony Corp, a sleek and futuristic company filled with advanced technology and luxury. There, they meet Regina Jackson, who introduces herself as the Chief Technology Officer of Particle Research. Her focus immediately turns to Ethan. She asks about his wife's condition, but Ethan, tense and guarded, simply replies that he's looking for her. Regina shifts the conversation, explaining that the world is running out of oxygen and humanity is facing extinction within a short time. Ethan interrupts, asking why she needs him. Regina tells him that he is the key to saving the world. But Ethan doesn't believe her. He can't understand why someone like him, who never saw himself as special, could be the one to make a difference. Then, Regina leads Ethan and Jude into the laboratory, where they meet a scientist named Billy Mitchell. Both Ethan and Jude are puzzled by the strange machine in the center of the lab. Regina explains that their first attempt to activate the machine failed due to a power shortage, which prevented them from seeing what was on the other side. Ethan, still confused, presses for clarity. He doesn't understand what she means by the other side. But as Regina continues, it becomes clear. She's talking about a time travel machine. Billy steps in and adds that the machine is set to travel 407 years into the future. He then points to a display screen that reads, "Send Ethan White." Regina explains to Ethan that the message on the display, "Send Ethan White," was sent by people in the future who had once searched for a cure for the sickness. Ethan, skeptical and unsettled, responds that it's not possible. No one could survive that long with just a cure. Regina calmly counters, saying exactly, it's not about survival. She believes the people in the future didn't find a way to live through it, but instead, they found a way to send back the cure to help the present. Regina asks Ethan to take the journey through the time machine. She's direct but doesn't hide the truth. There's no guarantee they can bring him back. Still, she reassures him that the people working on the project will do everything they can to retrieve him. Then, she looks him in the eye and reminds him of what's at stake. He has a chance to save his wife's life. That, she says, is worth the risk. At a dimly lit bar, Ethan injects himself with a drug, his hands trembling. He tells Jude firmly that he's not going to leave Xantha. He insists he's not the kind of person who saves the world. He never was. Jude pushes back, suggesting there might be more to the story about Ethan's father. That hits a nerve. Ethan snaps, saying his father abandoned him when he was only 8. He believes his mother would still be alive if his father had stayed. That's why he refuses to follow in his footsteps, why he can't risk Xantha's life for a mission he may never return from. Jude doesn't give up. He asks what Ethan will do if Xantha's condition gets worse. He reminds him this might be the only chance to save her. In a flashback, young Ethan sits alone on the floor, saddened by the absence of his father on his birthday. Just then, Richard appears, carrying a gift. Before Ethan can open it, Richard speaks with a calm but serious tone. He tells Ethan that he's been given a position of great authority and advises him to grow into someone important, someone who matters. He warns that the gift might hurt a little but promises it's for a greater purpose, and one day, Ethan will understand. As Ethan unwraps the box, a machine suddenly clamps onto his wrist, piercing his skin and drawing blood. Shocked and in pain, Ethan looks up, but Richard is already walking away, leaving him behind. In the present, Ethan sits with Xantha, quietly telling her he's decided not to accept Regina's offer. But Xantha refuses to let him hide behind her. She tells him firmly not to use her as an excuse. Ethan, shaken but calm, assures her he isn't. He's simply trying to protect her, to change their lives without risking hers. Xantha looks at him, resolute. She tells him to take the chance. She believes in him and in their future. With quiet confidence, she says she knows they'll meet again. Later, Ethan stands on top of a building, staring at the city below. He tries to pry off the strange device Richard had once locked to his wrist, but it won't budge. As he struggles, a wave of memories crashes over him, a flashback of his childhood, his pain, his father, and everything that led him to this moment. That night, Ethan lies awake, unable to sleep. He gently runs his fingers through Xantha's hair, the weight of goodbye pressing down on him. A silent ache fills him. He fears this may be the last time he ever sees her. Quietly, he gets out of bed, writes her a note, and leaves it by her side before slipping out of the room. What he doesn't know is that Xantha is awake. Tears stream down her face, but she stays still, letting him go. Meanwhile, Ethan walks into Regina's office with resolve in his eyes. He tells her he'll take the deal, on one condition: she must give the first dose of the cure to Xantha. Regina agrees without hesitation. Inside the lab, Billy gives Ethan a final briefing. He warns him that the landing location is unpredictable. He could end up in the mountains, the ocean, or anywhere in between. Ethan clearly doesn't like the uncertainty, but he steps into the machine anyway, determined. Billy then introduces him to a robotic device named Archie, designed to guide him and assist with research during the mission. As final preparations are made, Jude approaches Ethan, gives him a firm look, and says, "I'll see you soon." He kisses Ethan's helmet for luck. The machine powers up. In a blinding flash, Ethan is launched forward in time. Moments later, he crashes into a dense forest, surrounded by towering trees. His suit is scorched and damaged, but he quickly strips it off. The device he brought, likely meant for communication or scanning, explodes on impact, though it leaves him unharmed. Stunned by the lush, unfamiliar world around him, Ethan slowly reaches out to touch the trees, taking in the strange environment. Everything feels new, alive, and yet eerily quiet. Meanwhile, Ethan asks Archie where they've landed, but the device can't pinpoint the location. However, Archie reports that it has detected a nearby structure. Following Archie's guidance, Ethan walks through the forest and comes across a skeleton lying on the ground. Alarmed, he steps closer and notices a bullet hole in the skull. Panic rises as he examines the remains more closely. Etched into the worn gear is a name, Ethan White. Next to the body lies a device identical to his own. His breath catches. Shocked and disturbed, Ethan quickly records a video, stating that he believes he's going to die here, that the skeleton might be his own. He turns to Archie and demands an explanation. How could there be two versions of him? But Archie offers no clear answer, only vague speculation about temporal displacement. Trying to steady himself, Ethan inspects the wrist of the skeleton and discovers the same strange device his father once placed on him as a child. He pries it free, breaking the brittle bone to retrieve it. But he notices something strange. The button on this version glows a different color. Curious and desperate for answers, Ethan activates the old device and plays its last audio recording. He hears his own voice, and another man's. But before he can make sense of the conversation, the device powers down from low energy, right after the sharp sound of a gunshot. Afterward, with Archie guiding the way, Ethan reaches another location, but it's lifeless. No signs of people, no movement, just silence. As night falls, he gathers wood and, with Archie's help, manages to start a fire. The small success lifts his spirits, and for a moment, he smiles, grateful for warmth and light in an otherwise cold world. Hungry, Ethan eats some wild berries he finds nearby. Curious, he scans them with his robotic device, but it returns no information. The berries aren't recognized. Moments later, the device displays a star formation above him, marking something potentially significant. But before Ethan can focus, sickness creeps in. His body weakens, dizziness overwhelms him, and his limbs feel heavy. The sky darkens. Rain begins to fall, matching his descent into confusion and exhaustion. Ethan struggles to stay conscious, his strength fading as nature closes in around him. Suddenly, through the rain and haze, a figure appears, Jude. Without a word, he kneels beside Ethan and injects him with something. Moments later, Ethan jolts awake, disoriented and panicked. His eyes dart around, trying to make sense of where he is and who's near him. But when he sees Jude's face, the panic softens into disbelief. Jude gently steadies him, repeating his name and telling him to breathe. Slowly, Ethan calms down, realizing he's not alone and somehow, Jude made it here too. The next day, Ethan and Jude sit by a quiet river, the sound of water soothing the tension between them. Jude explains that the lab had been tracking Ethan's vitals remotely. They saw his pulse begin to echo back, an unusual sign. That echo, paired with a spike in blood toxicity, confirmed he had eaten poisoned berries. Jude says he couldn't stand by and watch Ethan die alone, so he took the risk and came after him. Later, Ethan shows Jude the skeleton he found earlier. Jude examines the name etched into the gear and the gunshot wound in the skull, but he dismisses Ethan's belief that the body is his own. Ethan, regaining focus, reminds Jude of why they came in the first place, to find the cure. With Archie leading them, they continue the journey. Eventually, they arrive at a sealed metallic door. Ethan approaches while Jude hangs back, keeping watch. Suddenly, a sensor scans Ethan's eye, and with a soft beep, the door slides open. Without hesitation, they step inside. The room is silent and dark. Ethan calls out, but there's no reply. As they move deeper in, Ethan discovers a dormant computer terminal. The screen flickers to life. "Welcome, Ethane." He inputs a command, and immediately, the device on his wrist begins initializing a DNA scan. His arm starts to bleed as the machine draws a sample. The button on the wrist device glows green. Instantly, the lab powers up. Lights hum back to life. The time machine in the center begins activating, pulsing with energy. A synthesized voice announces, "Portal initializing. Destination, year 2067 AD with an estimated time of 4 hours." Ethan looks around the now-lit room and asks where the people are. Jude responds firmly that there is no one. The emptiness gnaws at Ethan. Something feels wrong. He stares at the device on his wrist. The button that once glowed red is now green, changed after the blood scan. His mind circles back to the skeleton in the forest. The matching name. The bullet hole. The identical device. Ethan admits what's sinking in. He believes the body was his. He says it aloud, his voice heavy with dread. But Jude pushes back, telling him he's spiraling, that none of this proves what he thinks. Refusing to drop it, Ethan commands the system to pull up the Chronicle's data backup. The computer obeys, and a holographic projection flickers into the air. It's Richard, his face worn with time, speaking with conviction. He explains that they discovered an anomaly in the Higgs field, something that might allow the transmission of radio waves through time. Ethan watches, silent at first, but slowly overcomes. Tears came down his face. He asks the system to stop, his voice cracking, but the footage keeps playing. Richard goes on, revealing they buried an atmospheric monitoring station capable of using the anomaly. Through this, they could send data back, an effort they pinned their final hopes on. They called it the Chronicle. A flashback follows. Richard, years earlier, is in the lab, overseeing the Chronicle's earliest phase. The machine pulses and stabilizes. The date 2074 flashes across the screen, a clear sign the project succeeded. Suddenly, the interface displays a name, Ethan White. Regina enters and tells Richard he needs to take action. Richard stares at the name, confused, questioning who sent it. Billy steps in and explains there are still power irregularities. Records from as far as 2474 show continuing issues. In the present, the time machine shuts down abruptly due to a power failure. Archie informs Ethan that it can no longer tether to 2067, the energy levels are too low. Jude, alarmed, asks where the fault is. Archie pinpoints it. The problem lies in the nuclear core control room. Ethan, caught off guard, pieces things together. Someone sent a message into the past. Regina must have known about the energy failure. Suspicion creeps in as he turns to Jude and asks why he really sent him here. Jude tries to dodge the question, insisting he's here to save Ethan, but Ethan refuses to let it go. He needs to understand what's truly going on. The machine interrupts their exchange, alerting them that only 3 hours and 50 minutes remain before a nuclear explosion. Hearing this, Ethan agrees, they need to move. They head toward the tunnel to reach and stabilize the nuclear core before it's too late. As they arrive in the city, Ethan is overwhelmed. Skyscrapers lie in ruins, swallowed by creeping vines and wild vegetation. The city is lifeless. Along their path, skeletons litter the streets. Ethan stops when he recognizes one. It belonged to one of Xantha's students. Jude tries to steady him, reminding him that things went horribly wrong for everyone. But Ethan already knows what that means. They continue until Ethan finds what he fears most, Xantha's skeleton. Clutched in her hand is the note he had left for her. A flashback strikes. Richard calls Ethan and his mother, asking them to meet him. On their way, a stranger begins trailing them. Ethan's mother notices and tries to escape with her son, but the man catches up. Without mercy, he shoots her in the neck. Ethan can only watch as she collapses beside him, dying in his arms while he screams. The man rips away Ethan's mask and leaves him gasping, until a young Jude appears, fights the man off, and hands Ethan another mask, saving his life. Back in the present, Ethan comes out of the memory, shaken. Jude is beside him, watching. Ethan mutters that he has to get back to Xantha, blaming himself for leaving her alone, for letting her die alone. He recalls the promise he made, that he would return to her. Jude, drained and defeated, tells him softly that no one is suffering anymore. That line echoes in Ethan's mind. It's the same phrase he once heard in a recording from the Chronicle. Ethan commands the device to play the final recording. As it plays, the same phrase Jude just spoke echoes from the recording, no one is suffering anymore. Then, a gunshot blasts through the audio. Jude freezes. His expression shifts from shock to fear. Without a word, he pulls out a gun and points it at Ethan, demanding to know why Ethan kept the recording from him. Ethan, rattled but steady, asks why Jude even has a gun. Jude claims it's for protection. Ethan doesn't buy it. He calls the excuse pathetic. Ethan then calmly asks Jude to hand over the gun, pointing out the inevitable. The skeleton they found really is him. Before Jude can reply, the machine chimes in, 2 hours left until nuclear core detonation. Jude deflects the confrontation, forcing Ethan to focus on what's urgent. They rush toward the tunnel to repair the failing core. Inside the tunnel room, cables spark and flicker. Suddenly, the main door begins to seal shut. Jude jams it with a metal rod just in time. Seeing an opportunity, Ethan squeezes through and locks himself inside. The room is losing air fast. On the other side, Jude bangs on the door, begging Ethan to open it. Inside, Ethan gasps for air and collapses. Just before he loses consciousness, Jude smashes a side window, drags Ethan out, and revives him. Together, they stabilize the nuclear core, buying more time. Afterward, they return to the lab. The Chronicle system is back online. It announces, 37 minutes to portal launch. Ethan opens a side room and there it is. The skeleton again. His own. He inspects the wrist device. It's identical. The same green button. Quietly, he swaps the battery from the new Archie into the old one. Ethan tells Jude that nothing can be changed. The evidence, his dead body, proves it. Jude pushes back, telling him he's overthinking it. But Ethan accuses him of something worse. He says Jude is the one who will shoot him. Jude, stunned, insists he's always tried to protect him. They argue. Jude plays the video from the skeleton's recorder, but quickly covers the screen. A gunshot plays anyway. Jude admits it. He's the one who kills him. The tension erupts into a full-blown confrontation. Ethan unlocks another door. Jude, now calmer, pleads with him. He says he saved Ethan, but they can't save everyone. Ethan, filled with rage, shoves Jude out of the room and locks the door. Inside, Ethan plays a final holographic video of his father. Jude tries to cut the power, but Ethan sees him coming. He quickly locks him out and routes power back to the projector. The recording plays. Richard appears, speaking directly to Ethan. He tells his son he loves him. He admits he never really knew how to be a father. He says he should have been there and apologizes for abandoning him. It's raw, honest, too late, but still needed. The video continues. Ethan watches Richard argue with Regina and a young Jude. Regina coldly claims there should be no more Curist. Earth deserves time without humans. Richard is horrified. She tells him it's not an easy decision, but it's the right one. Billy enters and tells Richard the board has chosen him to lead the project instead. Furious, Richard refuses. Without hesitation, Regina shoots Richard in the chest, killing him. Billy stands silently. Jude breaks in, just as the video ends. It's too late. Ethan turns, grief boiling into rage. He attacks Jude and begins to choke him. Gasping for breath, Jude mutters that they can't change the past. Ethan growls that they can't just let millions die. Jude, barely speaking, replies that they are already gone and no more cure. Frustrated and broken, Ethan looks at Jude and tells him the truth he's been holding back. He's not his brother. Jude, unshaken, replies that only the strongest survive. Ethan glares at him and asks if this was all just to carve out a place for himself in a new world. He accuses Jude of sacrificing everything, everyone for himself. Jude stares at him, hurt but still defiant. He says Ethan is his family, that everything he's done, every lie, every risk, was for him. But Ethan's had enough. He begins ripping out cables and tearing through the machine systems. Jude watches in disbelief, shouting that there's no other way. In desperation, he lunges forward and begins suffocating Ethan, demanding that he fight back. Ethan refuses. Jude trembles, losing control. He raises the gun, points it at Ethan, then turns it on himself. With a final scream, he pulls the trigger. Ethan falls to the floor, crying. Elsewhere, Regina is busy preparing citizens for a grand journey through the time machine. Children and elderly stand in line. She speaks with confidence, praising their courage. She tells them that history will remember this day, the day humanity seized control of its own fate. Back in the darkened lab, Ethan remembers his father's words. Be someone important. If you believe in something bigger, choose it. With trembling hands and renewed clarity, Ethan reactivates the time machine. He loads a small tree seedling, a recorded confession from Richard exposing Regina's betrayal, and a final gift for Xantha. The payload is sent straight to Regina's lab in the present. The moment it arrives, Regina freezes. The video plays. Richard's words echo through the lab. The evidence is undeniable. Xantha watches the breaking news. Regina Jackson has been arrested for conspiracy, cover-up, and murder. A guard delivers a package, Ethan's final gift. She opens it and breaks down in tears, overwhelmed by emotion. Ethan lays Jude's body to rest. He marks the grave with a note. But then, something strange catches his eye. The skeleton he once believed was his own is gone. He runs into the forest. The ruins of the dead city have changed. The advanced structures have disappeared. Nature has reclaimed it all. The forest is alive, thriving. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit that like button and smash subscribe for more epic movie recaps every day.